Okay. Can people hear me? Why does this look different? Oh no. Oh my god. Okay. Oops. Why? What in the world? There we go. Oh. Okay. Everything's set. I think everything's set. Maybe everything's set. Oh boy. I was planning to get all of this set up and ready to go at work this morning, and then I just straight up forgot all of my meds, and I was barely hanging on to consciousness. It was, oh, so that was unprofessional of me. I should have had this ready, and I freaking didn't. Hello, Apex. Okay, community tier list. Hooray. How the hell do we pop out? Hello, everybody. Oh, good. That was what I wanted. All right. Man, this is the roughest shape I've been in a while trying to do this. So, again, apologies if I seem completely off the rails for a little while. Getting that water. Oh, we're going to talk about rank and stuff. The one thing I was able to do this morning was look at the responses. We had 105 responses, which was quite a bit less than last time, but like just the timing of everything, that we're doing this instead of right after the Banzuke, we're doing it right before the tournament. That always screws up tier list stuff, so I'm not surprised by that in the slightest. I'm glad we got to 100, honestly. So oh yeah, everybody right now is in alphabetical order. That's okay, I can find everyone. Yeah, why don't we just get started? Because I mean, we got people already talking about Hoshoryu and Onosato, and we might as well just get to chatting. So responses for Hoshoryu. I mean, Hoshoryu is a pretty solid S tier for most people. No, there's no emergency shakes. I'm fine. I'm a damn pro. I'm a pro. Only in the most technical sense, but that's where we're at. So yeah, Hoshoryu. I mean, 63% of people went S tier. There's not even a conversation to be had here. The community has spaketh. The community says Hoshoryu S tier. Now, I think the community is sort of trusting that the knee is good, and is that foolhardy? I don't know. I've been sort of like, you know what? When it's bad, it sounds a lot worse than it has so far, so I'm not gonna sweat it. Some of us may wish to reconsider our votes in this case. Yes, however, the setup is that the form creates the baseline. If there's a clear winning vote, then that just takes it, because the community has spoken in that case. The chat here is just to talk about it, have a little fun, talk a little sumo, but also to vote on things that are very close, where it's like, maybe we should give the chatters a chance to come up with either a different answer or to confirm the answer that's already been given. Ooh, wait, draining fluid from the knee. That's the first I heard of that. If that's like the last 24 hours, then I definitely, that's why I didn't hear about it. We're S+, yeah. You did 2 tours without one. Man, that's a very different job. I'm not saying it's an easy job, but it's a different one. If you vote in advance and then you're like, oh no, things have happened that have changed my opinion, you should be able to redo it. Now, unfortunately, I think, I don't know if so what the way it's supposed to work is you fill it out, and then if you go back in with your same email, I think the answers are supposed to be there, and then you can just change the ones you want to change, but I'm not positive. I mean, the way I figure, if his knee is messed up, either he's still gonna be fine, or he's probably gonna leave, in which case we're all right or we're all wrong. So, but that's Hoshoryu. I mean, it was a pretty clear S tier, so we're just gonna roll with it. Onosato. So there's a lot of people who are just like B tier, D tier. So some people were banking on a Kyujo, and that's pretty fair given what we've heard so far. But still, the clear majority has gone Onosato S tier, so we're just gonna go with Big Man in S tier as well. Now, I'm not gonna put a vote up, just start talking in chat. Who goes above who? Onosato goes higher or Hoshoryu goes higher? I'm just gonna go by like a quick chat check while I eat my sandwich. See, if both are good is not really the basis of a decision right now. It's just, what do you think? Oh, this is very split. This is very split. It looks pretty tied. I'm just going to leave them in rank order. So, Hoshoryu, then Onosato. I mean, it doesn't really mean anything if you're thinking about Spiffy versus the world. It's just more of an aesthetic choice. All right, a little bit more for Hoshoryu. Yeah, that's fine. Famine Dragon, you're going to get a number of chances to vote on stuff, I promise. I've looked through these and there's actually a lot of pretty clear choices from the community, but there's going to be some we need to vote on. And they're coming up soon. So, next up is Kotozakura. Now, this one is, wow, can't keep that still. All right. Pretty clear B tier. Like, nearly a majority, a very clear plurality. So, not quite 50%, but beating all of the other options by quite a bit. So, we're going to put Koto in at B tier. Slightly more optimistic than I was or Goose was, but It's all good. It's all good. The overlap in wins is pretty significant, so we probably all are still going to score a point here. I'm thinking, like, I like when Koto is doing well. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I like watching him do well because he's such a physical force. And I really want to see him get back to that really good September tournament he was having before he hurt his knee. But he hurt his knee. So, like, what are the odds? I don't know. I hate it. I hate it. There's no good way for this sport to really allow for, like, long-term injury healing without just not having enough people to compete. So I don't know how you fix it, but frustrating. Kotozakura always sounds more optimistic about his knees. He's always like, yeah, I'm all right. I should be good. Occasionally he's like, it's a problem. But usually he's pretty positive, and then we see the same thing again and again. So, like, and I'll tell you this from, for anybody who doesn't know, like, I come from a Muay Thai background, so I do have a combat sports background, just a different sport. But how you feel in practice and what that means leading into the fight, even if you're being honest with everyone, it's not always one-to-one. Like, you might think like, you know, it's bugging me a little bit, but it's not a big deal. And then you don't feel anything. Or your opponent puts pressure on you in a way that you're like, oh God, this thing is destroying any chance I have of winning. Yeah, Koto winning a Yusho seems unlikely. I mean, we got Goedo vibes here. Really. I mean, and Goedo had better records than Koto does. But I mean, there's something to be said for somebody who can pick up that 8 wins at that level every tournament. I mean, you might not say it's a good thing, but it's a thing you could say. All right, let's go on to, it's the man. I mean, he's not a myth. We've seen him. The legend in the making, Onishki. You know what? I'm genuinely proud of the community. I went with a slightly frustrated in myself / slightly emotional response, and when I put him S tier, but I acknowledge that, you know, 12 wins is probably his most likely outcome, and if anything, he should end up a little bit lower. So I put him at S tier just because things. But for the group to go so clearly A+, to be like, 12 wins seems like the high mark for him, I say well done. Even if that ends up being wrong, I think you made the smart choice as a group. So well done to you. Onishki goes to A+. Genuinely, like, everybody who said A+, I think you were being real smart on this. See, Sebedy, I responded to somebody's comment with this. All the stuff about him being tired, this is all very new. Like, we've never seen this before. And so I was like, but have we ever really heard about him doing a lot of practice with the high-level guys? And I couldn't remember it happening much. And even in the, like, mostly from Kirishima, like, the reports are, this is a pretty new thing for him to go this hard, this long with the other high-level dudes. And the point that I made is fighting and sparring are not the same. They're different types of exertion. The fighting is much higher exertion, but for a shorter period. And that's what he's used to. So as long as he's given himself enough time to rest, I don't think the fact that he was getting tired during these practice sessions is going to have that much of an effect. Now, all the having to go on these public appearances, the Ozeki stuff, maybe that has genuinely impacted him. I mean, there's the quote-unquote Ozeki curse, Yokozuna curse or whatever, and it's there for a reason. Like, we do see this effect, and we're never entirely sure why. So it is possible that he has a little bit of a downgrade. But I don't think him just being tired in practice is, in and of itself, I don't think that's going to mean a lot. I don't think he's done, Hayden, I don't think he's done a lot. Let me rephrase. I'm not aware of it being reported he did a lot of long practice bout type training sessions with guys from other gyms, other stables. So, but his stamina during tournaments has been fine. So hopefully he didn't wear himself out in an unhelpful way before this tournament. Like, they need to do this stuff like a couple weeks before, not 3 days before. It seems dumb. But if it works, it works. It may just be to out. Oh, it might just be his out to limit his work. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I think there is something to be said for like learning how to put yourself through those long practice bout sessions. Those long practice bout sessions, like just to do it, because that will build your stamina. But you don't need it all the time for years. Like, there's a reason why guys, and I grant in like sports like MMA, brain damage is more of an issue in sparring. But getting away from sparring when you're an experienced fighter is becoming more and more of a thing. Onishki's already successful, and he's been very good. I don't think he needs to practice with these guys that much. It's just there's an expectation now that he's an Ozeki that he will. So he might not be able to avoid it. I hope that's not bad for him. I don't know that it's going to be good, though. Yeah, he mentioned quality over quantity, but he was also still fighting these dudes, like, a lot. I think what do you have, like 15 fights the one day? You don't need that much unless you want them. Hokuseiho levels of stamina? I mean, there's a joke in there somewhere. I'm just not sure what it is. One match a day for 15 days is still a lot. Like, the amount of gas that you burn if the fight takes especially if the fight takes as long as Onishki's tend to, you don't fully recover before the next day. Or, I mean, maybe you do early, but you wear out. You can see a lot of these guys, especially the bigger guys, they're struggling a little bit towards the end. We don't talk about the arm dangle. All right, this is going. Hokuseiho has entered the chat. We need to move on. Onishki A+. I think it's a smart pick. I think it's a smarter pick than mine. Kirishima. Now we get to vote. Dead split between B 8 to 10 wins and A-, 9 to 11 wins. Starting a poll. Kirishima. Is he going to be an A- pick, or is he going to be a B pick? Go for it. Remember, the main difference is, do you think he's more likely to get to 11 or only 8? Because both of these cover 9 and 10 wins, so it's the same either way there. Yeah. Oh, I should probably not talk while I'm eating. Yes, Uragat didn't get any practicing in because he hurt his leg. It was a muscle injury, so those tend to recover better. So that is important. And then he had his best tournament. But his best tournament was at Maegashira 8. And 10 and 5 at Maegashira 8 is something we should be able to expect from him. At least like 9 wins, you know? The fact that he still looked really good in the next tournament when he was in the Joy, that was nice. He still didn't get that many wins. He got 8. That was what mattered. But he still wasn't winning. I think what it really did was it gave him a chance to refocus on his sumo. Like, what does he want to do? What does he think is going to work the most? Onishki's not really at that point yet. He doesn't need to rethink anything. He just needs to keep doing what he's doing. Okay. That's looking like a B vote. So, A minus very, very slightly won in the form, but chat says B. Bang. We're going with B tier for Kirishima. So, we are aligned on that now. Ooh, I have a radio voice? That's very nice of you to say. I think I more have my mic settings correct. I spent a lot of time back in the day figuring those out, but it's working and that's really what matters. Ooh, Kiri has another Yusho in him. I'm gonna be honest. I think Kirishima has a better chance of making it back to Ozeki than winning another tournament. Because you don't need to win a tournament to make Ozeki. I think if his health holds up, he can put together, you know, a 10 and 11 and a 12, and those aren't necessarily going to win any Yushos. I think if I'm going to expect anybody to win a Yusho, if I think someone has Yusho in them, I need to believe they can win 13 times in a tournament. And I don't think he can. Onosato will dumpster him all day. He is not a good enough athlete to take on the humongous, like, super physical guys like Onosato. And Onishki is smaller, but also super physical and just wrecks him too. If those two are in a tournament, that's just 2 losses for him right now. Dude, put me on live AM radio. I mean, honestly, in America, live AM radio would probably have some people who might be into sumo if they weren't too racist. Kotozakura is a very different case, though. Like, I think Kirishima is extremely consistent. He's extremely consistent based on his health. So if his health holds up, I think he is a consistent, like, 10 to 11 win guy. So if he can get, you know, 10 or 11 for 3 tournaments, to make Ozeki, all he has to do is find 2 more wins somewhere, which is easier said than done. But that, I think it's easier to find a couple more wins in that situation than to necessarily win a Yusho. If Kirishima ever beats Onishki through something other than getting lucky, like Onishki slips or something, I need to be there. I need to see it because I don't know what he can do at this point to beat that guy. Genuinely. Like, Onishki has him so dominated. Kiri was an Ozeki. Like, I think he was only on an Ozeki run once, but he made it. So it's not like we're dreaming of him making Ozeki. We know he can be at that level. He only lost it because of injury. No, we can't cast from a Waffle House because it's gonna mostly be me fighting. Most likely back to Ozeki. Oh, Kirishima. Kirishima has health issues, but they're not nearly as serious as Takayasu's. And he can also fight at a higher level when he's healthy. Right now, Takayasu has to actually change his game to keep his back in shape. And it does not lead to high level win totals. It keeps him competitive, it keeps him fighting, and I love it. But it's not championship or Ozeki level at all. Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad Takayasu is still fighting at this level. He's so damn strong. God, Anyway, Takayasu's next. Why don't we just switch to him? Takayasu, C+. This is, I don't think this is close enough to really vote on it, because you still got a ton of people on the B side and then a ton of people on the C- side. The vote's not that close. Takayasu, C+. Honestly, I get it. That's not where I put him, but I understand. Or no, is it where I put? No, I had him very, 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 very borderline. And then just when I was going to put the thing together with Goose, like I didn't want to look at Goose's vote. So on my last run through, I slipped him down to C- because I thought I had a just like one too many people predicted to do well. But like he's so borderline. I think he's either going to have 7 or 8 wins, so it doesn't really matter in that case. But if I think he's more likely to be a little bit hurt and slip to 6 than to have a pop off and end up at 9. And if he can hold it together long enough to get to 9, I think he's just as likely to end up at 10 or 11. So C- was sort of maybe more of a competitive pick for me. Like I wanted giving myself the best chance to be correct. But 7, C+ is fine. Thinking 7 to 9 wins makes a ton of sense. Papa Bear won't last as Sekiwake. Well, Sekiwake and Komusubi, those schedules aren't really any different. And granted, at Komusubi he was 5 and 7, and then he had to win his last 3 to move up. But it's just the order in which you take on the opponents. That's the main difference between Komusubi and Sekiwake. Sekiwake gets to take on Maegashira guys more early, rather than the other Sanyaku. So here's the thing with Takayasu. And I sometimes think of him and Tamawashi in a similar sense, and they're really not the same guy in this way. If Tamawashi gets on a roll, he's crazy. Takayasu is much steadier. So he doesn't necessarily need a slightly weaker schedule to start to get going. That's not necessarily going to help him as much. That is what he's going to have at Sekiwake, though. So can he pick up a bunch of wins early before he gets to the Sanyaku later, the other Sanyaku guys, most of them later, when maybe he's more tired, maybe he's more likely to be hurting? That's where trying to work the health question in becomes so baffling. Like it's hard to know what to do. Yeah, both Yokozuna are going to be a little bit hurt. I don't know if they're going to be a little bit hurt. Like, that's the question. Are they going to be a lot of bit hurt? Because that's the concern. Everybody's a little bit hurt all the time. Just because we know about it doesn't necessarily change that. But are they going to be more messed up? Onosato's either going to... He's either going to find... Yeah. What do I want to say here? It feels very much like he's either going to find a way to fight with the shoulder in whatever state it's in and just be a wrecking ball like usual, or he's gonna not be able to do anything and drop. That's really how it feels. Like, this doesn't seem like a 10-5 thing, you know, where he fights through it and he struggles a little bit, but he hangs in long enough to do okay. It really seems like he's either going to be a monster or just not there. Oh, they're injured. Like, Onosato's shoulder injury hasn't healed. It's still there. And more than a couple of people have indicated concern that this is going to become a chronic thing, which I said months ago. Like, dude, you need to rest that, because joint injuries are the ones that can turn into permanent issues if you don't let them fix themselves. You're one of 2 dudes in the sport in a position to just let it heal. Don't be a dumbass. Take advantage. Yeah, the torn meniscus, that's news. That's new to me, and I don't... that feels bad. Like, I can't remember who else it was had one of those, but... Now I'm not even going to talk about it, because I don't remember the details, and I don't even remember who it was. So I can't ask anyone else to tell me what the details were. Onishki has taken Hoshoryu's cider back 4 times in 4 fights. It's insane. Hoshoryu will figure out a way to do better, but Hoshoryu's approach to Onishki so far has not been good. I think he can find a better one. It still might take a while to find a win, but I don't think he can do any worse. Anyway, Takayasu C+, and now we're not talking about Takayasu, so let's go on to the next person. Who's Oho? Oh, blessed Oho. I mean, that's a C+ pick. Goose had him at C+ too. I think y'all smoking something. And having him at C- is not that much different. I'm predicting a 1-win difference. I'm predicting essentially 1 fewer win for Oho than Goose's, than all of you are. And that shouldn't matter. And yet it just seems so crazy, given what we've seen from him. It seems so optimistic. It doesn't matter which Oho shows up. No Oho that has ever shown up in the Sanyaku has gotten any kind of work done. The only reason he manages to stick in pretty decent records, even when he goes Makekoshi, is that he's better than everyone outside of the Joy. And so he just wallops them. Like I said, if you didn't see it in, when I do it, the tier list, I assume, over the last 3 days of the 6 tournaments in 2025, dude was 17-1. 17-1 is crazy. But the reason he was 17-1 is because in 4 of those tournaments, the difficulty level dropped off a cliff because he was already at 8 losses. The other 2 were when he went 12-3 and 10-5. And the 10-5, his schedule still got easier. The 12-3 was just that one where Oho goes crazy. He does that once in a while. Ohan and Oha. That's almost a bannable joke. Patty, the problem for Oho, and really, I try to sympathize as much as I can. They have difficult lives. They have so much work to do. The lines between success and failure in this sport are so thin. And really, the problem for Oho is that he's a fucking idiot. This dude, I can't remember the last time I saw him in a fight where it looked like he actually thought through anything. He just, let's put the big quotation marks up, he did his sumo. He does his sumo. That's all he does is his sumo. But his sumo isn't always the best idea. He can do a bunch of different things, he just doesn't bother. He just doesn't. And it's so hard to watch sometimes. Like, the dude who has gone in and smacked around Hoshoryu and smacked around Onosato just gets dumpstered by Ura. Like, and I love Ura to death. But that's not the dude who should be... You should not be able to win those fights half the time against the top dudes and then lose to these random ass Maegashira guys. You shouldn't. But he does it, and we expect it. Bran, I know this isn't what you meant, but I cannot tell you. I would take money that's designed to go in a retirement account and spend it to go to Japan if it would let me see a 3-way match between Oho, Kinbozan, and Shishi. That would be like, just set up 3 lines, set up a triangle Tachiai. Oh, the chaos. The chaos would be so beautiful, so gorgeous. It would be the worst version of sumo in the history of Earth, and I would be so here for it. My mom got me a board game for Christmas called Sumo Rumble, and it's 2 to 6 players, and you take your dice and you throw the dice in the box, but it's not one-on-one until different, and you just play against different people. It's everybody at the same time. So you could have 30 dice hit in the box at once, because it's 6 sumo wrestlers fighting at the same time. Oho, Shishi, and Kinbozan at the same time would be worse than that. It would be so much worse. And I want, oh God, I want to see that. There's pro wrestling in Japan, right? When those guys retire, just put them all in a ring, but take the ropes down. And then it's the first one to knock the other 2 off the edge of the pro wrestling ring. Like, it's not that much higher than the dohyo. Why not? Like, why not? Just go for it. I don't want to talk about Oho anymore. I'm energized, but also mildly frustrated with life. Wakamoto Haru. We all like Wakamoto Haru. He's a fun guy. He's also C+. Another very clear C+ pick. But I'm just gonna... Alright, this is gonna be a chat thing. Do I put Wakamoto Haru above Oho? Yes or no? Reef, 100%. Oho is the only guy who can fight in his stable, and nobody pushes him. Nobody pushes him. Nobody makes him think. Nobody makes him do anything different. And he's still just successful enough that no one's going to complain. All right, yep, that's pretty clear. Yeah, Wakamoto Haru. I think you can make a very fair argument that Oho is a better Rikishi than Wakamoto Haru. I do not think you can make a fair argument that you can really expect him to do better. Like, I think that's really the difference between these guys. Wakamoto Haru is a classic case of maxed out potential. He really is, and that's why he's so enjoyable. He can't do everything. If you look at the guys, I suppose if we say the Joy, the top 16, that's too many guys, and they shuffle in and out too much. But the Sanyaku is steadier. If you look at the guys in the Sanyaku, Wakamoto Haru is, without question, the least gifted wrestler. But he's absolutely not the guy I expect the least results out of. If Oho went to Arashio's stable, if Otake shut down and he went to Arashio, he'd be an Ozeki. I swear to God. Because the Waka Bros would beat his ass until he figured it out. And also, we would be blessed with the new Rikishi name, Wakamoto Oho. And I'm okay with that. Like, I would like Oho better if he, just by naming him Wakamoto Oho. Maybe that's what he should do. Like, if he switched stables and then made it to Ozeki, like, he's been Oho for so long, but if he made Ozeki at Arashio stable, then he would have to make that change. I'm not sure. You know what? I'm going to type because I'm not sure how it would spell. Would it be Wakamoto? It would have to be 2 O's back to back, because if that's Wakamotoho, and that's not what I'm saying. It would have to be Wakamoto Oho. Sort of like Koto Oshu back in the day. Waka Oho Moto. That just puts me in mind of the Hello Moto commercials, and I don't think we need that. If Sumo would accept more international sponsorship, Fozzie Bear could be the mascot for Arashio Stable. Waka waka waka. There could be a Fozzie Bear Pac-Man crossover to try and recruit young wrestlers to Arashio Stable. Waka waka waka. Waka 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 waka. Yeah. Dude. Japan loves mascots. That would work so well. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the, I guess that's a super chat, a donation. I'm not sure. This is the first time anyone's ever given me anything during a chat. So, man of the center, you are the only person who can ever be first at this, and I appreciate you double for it. Did I see the name in Jonokuchi? Fukumaru. I did not, but that's amazing, and I wish only the best for him. Yeah, Pat, that's what I'm saying. Pac-Man. Fozzie Bear and Pac-Man. A Fozzie Bear Pac-Man crossover to advertise Arashio Stable to young sumo wrestlers. Do it. Do it. Well, this has been very enjoyable so far. All right, into the Maegashira ranks. First, Ichi Yamamoto. Okay, now this is going to be a vote. I mean, this one, when I saw this, I was like, this is wild. Because we've got a very split vote. The highest is C-, but only slightly over D. All right, I get that. 20 out of 105 people said 7 to 9 wins. I mean, look, if Ichi Yamamoto can survive to that degree at Maegashira 1 East, I'll be happy to see it. I would. I love watching him fight. He's fun. But, ooh, that looks sketchy. And then F, 6 or fewer wins. This is the first time, I mean, granted, we just made the change, like last time, but this is the first real number of F-tier picks anyone's gotten. So, we put up the poll. Ichi Yamamoto. Is he gonna be C+, C-, D, or F? Starting the poll. M1 is a meat grinder. The most difficult schedules, very broadly speaking, obviously it depends on who's in what spot, but the most difficult schedules generally are Komusubi 1 West, then Maegashira 1 East, 1 West, 2 East, and exactly how far down that goes depends on how many people are in the Senyaku. And then there's a little bit of a jump to 3 East or 3 West, because one of them ends up eating Sanyaku hands for like 7 days straight, whereas somebody at like Maegashira 2 East, 2 West can skip a couple of those fights until later. I don't know why. I mean, I know why, it's just hard to explain. It's just the way the layout works. Patty, here's the thing, and this is what makes it so difficult. He's Maegashira 1 East, which means he's eaten he's gonna take it from the Yokozuna the first 2 days. They would have to drop out before the tournament starts. So hoping that they're not in his way at all is not a thing. What you'd have to hope for is that they're too hurt to actually be able to beat him. And that seems like a much more hopium-based take. So, Grove, that you're not wrong. One thing to keep in mind is that, especially in like the last year or so, once those guys are done with the Sanyaku, it used to be, so I remember when I first started watching Sumo, Wakatakakage was 7-7, and somehow he got a Darwin match on the last day against Chiyomaru, who was like Maegashira 12. That doesn't happen anymore. They very rarely move guys that far up. Now they have done it a little bit. They did it a little bit in Kyushu, and they will do it once in a while when it makes the most sense, but it's not nearly as common. So Ichi needs to, rephrase. We as fans need to expect that Ichi's going to take all the Sanyaku, so that's 7 guys, and then his other 8 opponents probably don't go below Maegashira 6. That's kind of the problem, because he's not really good against almost any of them. The only person he has a winning record against in that group is Yoshino Fuji, 2-0. He doesn't have a recent winning record against anyone else until you get to Kinbozan. That was why I decided to put him in F rather than D, because it's like, yeah, when he's done with the Sanyaku, things should get easier, but I don't know if they get easier enough. You know what? I may just quit predicting anything if he goes double Kinboshi. I don't care if they're hurt. That I might just be like, this is pointless. Just everybody S tier. Fuck it. I'll be right about somebody. All right, let's see where we're at. Ooh, D slightly outstrips C minus. Perhaps a slightly more realistic group in the chat than was due in the forums, but I think that happened last time too. All right, Ichi Yamamoto officially going into D tier. Honestly, from a competitive perspective, I would have rather y'all stuck with C minus, but hey, I don't want this to be easy. I am perfectly fine if I have to give some money to charity. I mean, I'd rather keep it. That's fine, whatever. All right, Yoshino Fuji. So this is a pretty clear B tier pick. And again, I am understanding, but a little surprised. Like, he's been good. He's certainly looked like he should be a Sanyaku regular in the future, maybe even the near future. To expect a winning record out of him, because that's what this is, 8 to 10 wins. He is going to go Kachikoshi to some degree. That's what this pick is. And it's like, man, I guess because I didn't see when all of those votes came in, and if a lot of them came in later when the injury report, especially for Hoshoryu, came out, I can understand that better. But like, he already beat Onosato last time, so he can't do better than that against him this time, right? He beat Onosato and Onishki and only got to 9 wins because he lost to a bunch of other guys that, I mean, maybe he shouldn't in the long term, but I think he might lose to him again now. I don't know. So this is interesting. I'll put him up here for a second just to show you. So Hakuno Fuji has the same checkerboard background. It's only these 2 Izagahama guys that have this background. I don't understand why it was like that for them. It was like they weren't there for picture day, so Master Izagahama had to drag him into the stable bathroom to get the pictures done. Your guess is as good as mine why that happened. Yeah, the number of votes. So after I put up the tier list, there were 87 responses, and now there's 105. So that's 18 more. So yeah, I mean, obviously most of them would have had to come in before the most recent injury news. But there's been talk about Hoshoryu's knee for a while. It's just a question of severity. So if people are thinking, maybe he's a little more vulnerable, I guess. I mean, I have him at C+. Again, it's not that big of a difference. It's just, this is where I have the most trouble making predictions. It's when I'm trying to figure out, like, the guys who are fresh to a certain level, how are they going to do that first time out? I famously blew that one with Onishki, but Onishki is sort of a singularly gifted wrestler. Yoshi is just a physical beast. Here's the thing. He's very straightforward. He's very powerful with his sumo, but he weighs 150 kilos, or 100, wait, no, what was it? Oh no, he's at 159 now, which might be the point at which he really starts to show that power. He might have to get a little bit bigger. I don't know. I just think it's not out of the question that he slips a little bit. That's all. Hey, Patty, quick question, because I haven't been able to confirm this. So if you changed your submission, maybe you can answer this for me. When you go back, when you turn it in and then you go back to it later, are all the picks still there? Like you didn't have to redo the whole thing, did you? Because you shouldn't have to, and I want to make sure that's how it is. Brand, like, just look at the dude. I mean, he's sort of like Takeru Fuji. He's actually about Takeru Fuji's size. Like, Takeru Fuji was the same way, but he would just jack people up too. Awesome. Thank you, Patty. I appreciate that. Yeah, he's... When you are... So 159 kilos, I know, like, I'm American, I know a lot of us are. So that's, like, times 2.2, so that, well, we just go 160, so that's 320. So he's about 350 pounds, right? When you are 350 pounds with that amount of muscle, you are gigantic. Like, the chonky dudes, Atami Fuji outweighs him by like 50 pounds, and he is bigger in every way, by every metric. But in some ways, he doesn't feel bigger. That's what being that jacked does for you. I just hope Yoshi does his friggin' arm exercises and doesn't tear a bicep like the other guys. I gotta start using Yoshi sound clips when I put Yoshi on the screen. I just haven't collected them yet. Okay, that's not correct. That's correct. Ura! Hey, Pinky Boy! So this is C-. I mean, this is pretty clearly C-, because C+ and D are about equal on either side of it. So that looks like a very easy C- pick. And on the one hand, I am grateful to all of you for having hope in Pinky. I am. On the other, I mean, chances, I feel like 6 and 9 is just where he's going to end up. And we're all going to be right. 6 and 9 just feels like where it's at for him. 6 and 9 feels like probably what he should have had last time, but he was fighting really well. So what feels like 6 and 9 to me might be more 7 and 8. Oh, I don't know how he gets 8 wins this time. I just don't see it. Okay. That will I gotta see something. We have had a chatter has claimed he's gonna have 9 wins. Pulling up some info. And I'm just gonna drag this over. So let's make this bigger. This is Ura. Let's look at where he was in the Joy. And we'll just say from Maegashira 5 East up, because that's fair. 3 West, 8 wins. 5 East, 5. 5 East, 7. 4 West, 7. 2 West, 5. 5 East, 9. Now, I am curious. In that one, he was sort of in the... He was just outside the Joy in that one. 4 West, 6. 4 West, 7. 1 East, 6. Komusubi, the glorious Komusubi Day, 6. 1 West, 8. 4 West, 9. So, okay. The last time he was... Oh, was he even in the Joy then? Oh, no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, he was at the very, very edge of the joy. The very edge. And he got 9 wins. That was in September 2023. I cannot tell you how much I want to see it happen again. I really, truly do. But this is why I don't make that pick, though. This is why I might be slightly harsher on Ura's chances just because I'm a fan and I know like my heart will lead me astray. That is a thing. Even being, you know, old and grouchy, that is a thing. I'm happy to be wrong. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'll be happy to be wrong. He goes Kachikoshi again. I accept it. Yeah, Shonen Umi was... He used to look like he knew what he was doing. It was interesting. I let him get off to a hot start. So, okay, his first 4 matches are going to be against the 2 Yokozuna and the 2 Ozeki. So, like Ichi Yamamoto, we can't really hope that the Yokozuna drop out and get out of his way, because they would have to drop out very, very early for that to happen. And that's just not likely. If he could somehow go 2-2 through those first 4 matches, I will believe with all my heart. I really will. But I'll be happy if he gets 1 out of those 4. My God. If Ichi Yamamoto and Ura are Komusubi in the same basho, I mean, think about what sort of insane nonsense would have to happen. Like, they would have to do well enough that they couldn't be denied a spot, or all these Sanyaku guys have to drop out. Yoshino Fuji would probably have to do worse than Ura. Like, I don't even want to let myself think about that. He's not constantly trying to pull Tsutsuya's the thing that he does to Takayasu. He's not always trying to beat Takayasu against all of his opponents, which is how I'm going to phrase it from now on. He was drilling dudes in November. Like, it was fun. He was just banging. It was great. It looked like the most genuinely effective sumo we've seen from Ura in ages, and he got 8 wins. So unless he can find a way to somehow make that work better against a harder schedule, I don't know how he does better than that. All right, someone said Shishi Yusho. We have to move on. How do we end up at Roga? Wakatakakage. Yeah, I think this is a vote. This is a B and C plus vote. This is close enough to warrant it. B, 8 to 10 wins. C plus, 7 to 9. So really the difference, do you think he's more likely to get to 10 or more likely to land at 7 again? I maintain that a fully healthy Wakatakakage has a pretty decent chance of beating Onosato. Onosato kept beating him, but it kept being close. But if Waka's neck is anything less than 100%, then Onosato has to be too broken for it to happen. Roga's further down the line. I accidentally scrolled down. We're not worried about Roga yet. Yeah, Alex, 8 and 7 until he sees his neck hold up. That's kind of how I feel. Like, neck injuries are brutal, especially when you're so much shorter than everyone else and you kind of have to hit everybody with your face. You might not go head to head, but you're still going head to very thick belly. The fact Waka messed up his neck on the last Basho of an Ozeki run was finding that out later was tragic. In a sporting sense, not in a world sense. But it really felt like there's just no way it's happening now. I do appreciate that no one has talked shit about him yet in the chat. It really wasn't deserved. He was 0-4. Like, leave the man alone. Alright, it's close. It's close. 78 votes though. That's a lot of votes. Yeah, I think we're good with C+. C+ is gonna be the call. Wakatakakage to C+. I'm gonna put him next to Oho for aesthetics. I hope nobody minds. Or next to his brother, ahead of Oho. The meds have kicked in, and I think they're mostly working, but wow, that was a thing. Next person. Takanosho! I mean... So, C- is ahead, and C+ and D are dead even. So C- looks like the pick here. But... oh boy. Takanosho to C-. That is optimistic. Like, I can understand Ura. I really can. He's done it occasionally, and he's shown better just straightforward sumo. I can understand believing in that possibility. But, man, Takanosho does nothing but get his ass handed to him at this level. It's been so long since he got anything accomplished anywhere in these ranks. Waka Broho. There you go. Now we've got an aesthetic name to go with the aesthetic setup. Takanosho looks like, if not for Ura, Takanosho would win far and away happiest dude in sumo. Yeah, so Patty said something that's a good point, and I think I've mentioned this, but I'll say it again. I went through not like years and years of results, but like maybe a year's worth of Banzuke's really, really briefly. And all I did was I counted up how many guys finished with, I think it was, how many guys finished with double-digit losses in any given tournament. And over the course of whatever year I checked, the lowest number was 6. And that's not including guys who dropped out partway through. Just counting guys who finished the tournament, no fewer than 6 went 5 wins or fewer. So it was like, if I don't put a bunch of guys down there, obviously a bunch of them are going to be wrong. Now, I still don't want to put guys down there just to do it, because, like, if I get those guys wrong, then I just have more incorrect picks. But it did make me start thinking that, like, I really need to consider who is most likely to just completely shit themselves. Doing something like this, that is definitely a consideration. Ichi is mostly happy when he's thinking about Wakatakakage. Ura and Takanosho are happy all the time. Alright, Takanosho at C-. Let me tell you, if chat wins this one, or if the community wins this one, I'm gonna be blown away. I hope nobody wins. I hope he goes 12-3. That would be amazing. Hakuno Fuji. The latest, well, I should say the tied for the latest, the highest ranked guy to be dragged into the true Izagahama orbit. C+. By the way, though I appreciate being told I have a radio voice, I clearly don't have radio enunciation. C+ for Hakuno Fuji, that is an easy pick there. I had him at C-, but honestly, that feels like one of those ones I could have got wrong. I just don't know how he gets 9 wins when he's only ever gotten more than 9 from the bottom of the division. That's really what it comes down to. I don't really see him only landing at 6 wins again. I would be surprised if he had another 6 and 9. I just don't know how he gets to 9 wins. But if you don't think he's going to go as low as 6 wins, then C+ makes total sense. And I understand everybody who voted for that. That is pure logic. I get it. You know what? Granted, I don't listen to the radio anymore. I really don't. On the rare occasions I watch TV, a lot of times it's sports stuff, and granted, you know, the casters do kind of go bah, bah, and then they laugh at each other. A little more than I would have expected back in the days of like Marv Albert and Bob Costas. Those dudes were clean as hell. People only listen to internet radio anymore. Yeah, Hank, that's pretty much where I was with this. Right. Past performance is not an indicator of future success. Absolutely true. But when it comes to this, the way I think about it is, do I see a reason to believe that future success will come when past success didn't? And I don't yet. Mainly because I don't know how healthy his arm is. That's really the biggest thing. But I also think, and this was the main thing I brought up in the tier list. I think I think it's great that he's committed to a very aggressive forward style of sumo against some opponents. Like, he gets after dudes in ways. When he came into the division the first time, before he had surgery, he was just throwing dudes around. He was kicking dudes' legs out. Like, he was fun to watch. Now it's more fundamental based, and it seems like it's a little less good for him, but maybe it protects his shoulders. Maybe that's part of it. But it looks like they're trying to build him up long-term, physically, to do this. And I think that's great. If that's what they're doing, I think that's fantastic. Because he is young enough for that to make sense. He doesn't need to kick ass right now. He doesn't need 10 wins right now. If he's learning how to do it consistently in the future, that's better for him. And Teruno Fuji's a smart fucking guy. Like, now that he's in charge of Hakuno Fuji's career, like, he's one of those stable masters who I could see taking care of him like that. Spark, I just saw your message. I have been feeling better. Hopefully it sounds like I'm feeling better. Being a believer in Takanosho is cool. He's worth believing in, even if he's probably gonna let everybody down. But thank you for the good thoughts. What the hell is the face of a tradesman? What does that even mean? So that reminds me, but just totally off the cuff. For those of you who are Taskmaster fans, that reminds me of when Susan Wakoma said that she had an ex-boyfriend who told her that she had the hands of a midwife. Why do people say things like this? That doesn't make sense. Why? What are you even talking about? People, Jesus. Tradies get the ladies. Yes, that is the sign to move on. Daisho. So this one was I guess not surprisingly close. I just didn't know where the lines would be drawn. So we're gonna do a Daisho vote. Get your clickers ready. Daisho, B or C+. I just can't imagine him ending up with fewer than 8 wins. Like, if he was a little bit higher, a little bit, I might have questions. But like, he is going to have some fights down in rank, and he looked strong enough last time. I think he should just bang on people. The only way these are both too high is if he's still genuinely hurt, which is possible. I'll be honest, I think a lot of us are just hoping to see him again in fully fit fighting form. I said that in one try. I'm very proud of myself. Like, good Daisho creates tests for some of these guys that they haven't had to deal with in the last several months. And I, for one, want to see it again. Against Onishki especially. Jimmy, that's awesome. I was back during COVID. I was at the park with a friend. We were going running. Or, no, we weren't going running that day. We were just hanging out. We were just doing like a plyometrics workout. And we were just chilling and sitting at the moment, and some lady came up, because I have long hair, and some lady came up, like a grandma type, from behind me, and she was just being friendly. She's like, "How are you ladies doing?" And I turned around and looked at her, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry." Like, it's fine. Daisho or Shodai versus Asanoyama. That is a pair of options. See, Shodai versus Asanoyama doesn't sound that interesting, because it seems like Asanoyama would just beat his ass sideways. Yeah, I'm a fucking long-haired punk ass. Alright, this looks like not overwhelming, but clearly B tier for Daisho. Let's lock it in. B tier. I did look at the results earlier, but I don't remember most of them, and I am trying to remember where the losing records come in. Oh, Paige, that sucks. Like, I have kind of a lot of, like, trans and NB friends, so I do get it. Like, I have seen stuff like that. And I've seen them laugh about it enough that I do think it's... I do understand how it's funny, but that does suck. I will reiterate, Joy Rikishi are probably, who would normally lose to Onosato and Hoshoryu, are probably going to lose to Onosato and Hoshoryu or just not fight him. Hoshoryu, when injured, will fight long enough to give up some Kinboshi, like that. We've seen that, but I mean, we haven't seen Onosato get hurt. We don't know how stubborn he's going to be. Anyway, who's next? Atami Fuji. Oh, big hip replacement. It's a C split. Let's do some voting. C plus or C minus. Hold up. Lore. There is no lore. There's no lore around me. Lore is for fictional characters. I don't get lore. He couldn't use his arm. Like, day 15, I know sitting out day 15 is like, whoa, but we saw against Kotozakura, his arm was just fucked. If they were being really smart and careful about it, they would have been like, no, sit out day 14, right? But of course he's got to go in there and try. And I don't fault them for doing that. That made sense, no matter how bad it was. But when they saw it wasn't going to work, you got to pull him. You got to, it would be malpractice not to do that. Who's hating on Atami Fuji? I'm not hating on him. Calling him big hip replacement is just because he has arthritis in his hip. I mean, it is what it is. History is cool. The more you learn about history, the more you realize how awesome history is. All right, this is C-. It's not even close. Great wisdom has been shown by the community on this day. Yeah, like, I think he'll start out all right, but he's going to get enough tough matchups that it's going to be bad. Because at 4 West, if the Yokozuna are genuinely hurt and they drop out, that should be, if they do it in the first half of the tournament, then Atami Fuji gets to skip him. But he skips him and ends up against Onishki, right? And Kirishima. And he's probably going to get his ass beat then. So it all adds up bad for him. Atami will retire when he can't be a Sekitori anymore. Which might be by the time he's 27. It's possible. But he's so damn big and strong that he might be able to just spin his wheels in the division for years and years and years. It is possible. Especially if he finds ways to work around it. I have a friend who, and it's because of a condition. It's not because he's just like a gigantic dude with too much stress on his joints. He's actually really skinny. I forget the name of the condition, but it's like, it makes you super double jointed. Like, when we were in high school, we folded him up and put him in a duffel bag because it was fun and because it was easy for him to do. But yeah, I mean, his joints are all messed up now, and not because of that, like they always were gonna be. Somehow he managed to meet someone and marry her who had the exact same thing. It was wild because it's apparently a really rare condition. That's, you know, that's a lot of arthritis talk. Tamawashi, speaking of old people. Oh, God. Tamawashi, this one's pretty close. Yes. B, C+, or C-. The poll is a-coming. It's a-coming. It's a-coming if I can type into the line. Why did my tab just crash? Restore this tab. Firefox, you pile of butts. Tamawashi. No, spell it correctly, Spiff. Come on. C, or no. B. C+. C-. Yeah, I forgot Tamawashi was next. I didn't set that up on purpose. Oh, the based S vote. Listen, there was somebody, I'm not going to name a name. The person was, you know, bless their heart, they put their name on it. I'm not going to say what it was. This is somebody who has like Onishki at F tier, but Ichi Yamamoto at A+. And I'm pretty sure it was like one of those, I put in a joke unless I'm right, and then I'm a genius. That was really how it felt. And that's fine. That's why we get lots of responses, so that we can have a lot of fun with a single response like that, but it doesn't skew the results. So, I think we have to have a slight correction. Tamawashi is just an old man who wants to get these kids off his lawn. Let's be clear. Tamawashi is just an old man who is very good at getting the kids off his lawn. He is singularly gifted at still getting the kids off his lawn. Paige, I would be inclined to agree. I think I would have done the exact same thing as what you're saying. Let's see. Ooh, C- is getting like nothing. C+ and B are very, very close. I'll give it like another 30 seconds. If you're a fan of B tier, you want to get your votes in, because right now that's losing. But not by much. By only a couple of votes. What's wild about Sumo is that, like, 41 and being in the sport is not even that weird. Like, you hear about dudes, 43, 45 when they retire, stuff like that, but they're always in like Jonidan. Like, they're the ones who show up for like one match, and really they're just there to cook food for everybody else. This dude is in the top division. Jesus. All right. C+ is pulling ahead, so we're gonna call it. Tamawashi into C+. Yeah, I mean, that's what I had. He just... It doesn't feel like he can do worse than 7 wins at this level. He just beats too many faces in. Moriurara is gonna fight till he's 80, because I don't think he knows another way to live. And he won't do any differently. He won't do worse. He'll still win like 2 to 3 matches a tournament. No one will know how he does it, but he will. Well, Tamawashi has said that he wants to keep matches short. Like, win or lose, he doesn't want to be out there for very long. And that's probably a key factor in how he's still doing this. Alright, 5 West, Churena Umi. The unhappy engine that could. If you know, you know. C-. Well, that one is actually pretty straightforward. Churena Umi into C-. That one seems like an obvious pick. He's just a little too high to expect a lot out of him, but he's done so well recently, we're not going to be haters. Why are Shishi's arms in the pic so awkward? I mean, it's Shishi. Everything about him is awkward. I would be surprised if we saw a picture of him that was not in some way awkward. That he is professionally awkward. Sorely, I feel you, but I thought that at first, and then I started to realize I think this is just... It's just who he is. Like, it's just what he has... Whether it's one of those things where he was built for it from go, or just it's become who he is, I don't know. But it doesn't feel like he's just grinding and deeply unhappy. I feel like the whole vibe seems like when he leaves the sport, that's when he's not going to know what to do with himself. So if that's the case, then, please, dude, stick around. Like, be comfortable with where you are. That'd be an A pose. I want to see Shishi do a T pose. Shishi, fight in a T pose. You'll be unbeatable. You'll be a glitch in the Matrix. Alright, Chura no Umi at C-. Let's move on. Hira to Umi. Everyone's favorite little meatball. I think this is just a straight C+. Like, C+ is pretty far ahead of the other ones, and it's about balanced on either side of it. Yeah, this seems like a pretty clear C+. I don't want to waste anybody's time. Yeah, like... What's the question I want to ask? Not just how many wins. I mean, that's sort of what we're all doing here anyway. Throwdown. Okay, I'm gonna get a drink, and so for that couple minutes I'm gone, here's what I want to see. Give me a percentage that you think as the odds Hira to Umi gets 10 or more wins. Go. Yuria starts out with everybody trolling. I was, and then I got the idea. So, okay, I should probably mention who I'm talking to. Jimmy. Yes, and I still want to do that video. But then I got the idea for Onishki's video, and then I actually thought about doing both. That was when the Onishki video script was 20 pages. When it got to 40, I knew it wasn't happening. For the record, the Onishki script ended up at 51 pages. So there's a 75, a 42, but mostly in like the 10 to 20% range. That seems about right. Because 9 wins seems kind of where he's at. And then what are the odds that he gets that 10th like in an upset? That sounds about right. I think I'm with most of y'all on this one. Ura does not have a better chance of getting 10 wins. You said that for a reaction. Come on now. I mean, you print out that Onishki script and it would be close. I mean, you could probably do a room at least. Yeah, the second monster. I guess that was audible. I'm assuming you heard it through the microphone and not through the wall. Spark, awesome. Like, I weirdly, as much as I put effort into like making a thing for people to watch, I know the people who I listen to just as like ear noise, like second monitor stuff that I can just glance over at, and I know how much I like their voices. So when people say that what I make is stuff they can just listen to, I kind of hear that same compliment. I kind of hear that same compliment, except when I make a video, I can take those verbal mess ups and just delete them, which makes it better. Okay, so that's Hira to Umi. Onokatsu, Truly our biggest disappointment. C+. I am in agreement, and I still feel like... I feel like he's gonna have Kakashi Koshi, and I'm still gonna be disappointed in it. Like, I don't know what happened to this dude. He was so good at just sitting on people and being like, I'm gonna find a way to beat you. We're gonna stand here until I do. And now he just can't. It's like, ever since Onosho left, his coach is like, no, you have to be more aggressive. We need aggressiveness to win. And he's like, but I'm not good at that. And he genuinely isn't. He really isn't. Like, I know I said Hakuno Fuji, it's good that he's being aggressive in different ways. That's not Onokatsu's game. They got to work that in a little more slowly, because he doesn't know what he's doing. When if he's in a fight where he doesn't know exactly what to do, he's so lost. I can't do an enemy randomizer. I would lose my shit. I'd rather just keep my character going and just get to more New Game Plus levels. Nose picking is an important thing to do if you need it. I'm trying to be positive. Yeah, Hank, look. Onokatsu has never looked hurt. He just looks clueless. Shiori Naomi put on a masterclass in abusing somebody who isn't sure what to do. It was brilliant. It was as brilliant as it was unexpected, which is to say very. Oh, he's not getting 10. He doesn't know how to do that yet. He's gonna fight up to... So with the Sanyaku being a little bit bigger, I think he's probably gonna fight up to 4 East, definitely, and maybe 3 West. And, I mean, Hakuno Fuji, Daisho, Atami, like, I'm not saying he's gonna lose to all these guys, but that's a lot of tough matchups for him. He's got to rejigger his game somehow. Yeah, I mean, solid at everything. I actually think Oshoma is a little more solid, but also has some more noticeable weaknesses, but I get what you're saying. Speaking of whom, I think he's next, right? Yes, Oshoma is next. And this, see... So that's a big... That's big towards C-. But the vote is really split between positive and negative. Alright, you know what? Let's do this one. Let's just do C+ versus C-. Because when it's essentially a split vote between Kachikoshi and Makikoshi, that seems like a good time to just check the chat and see what people are feeling. Yuria, that segue is the thing that people used to ride before everyone realized that the motors blew up. The other, it's... You're talking about a different segue. Who's the highest ranked Rikishi who hasn't won 10 in Makuuchi? I mean, you can look that up. It might take a minute. Hey.
Segway's correct segue then.
So, I'm back. I'm getting a link. I'm also deeply amused. Yeah, correct, Bard. So if you go there, you can look up everybody's records for all the time forever. So you could see who in the top division has never won 10 times, never gotten 10 wins. Also, I appreciate that Yuria came to my door to ask me what segue it was. And y'all could probably still hear it on the microphone. Because I was trying to be quiet, but I don't know if I was quiet enough. Roga's not gotten 10. No. Yeah, no. No, I don't think he has. I think he got 9 once. Right? Yeah, well, he's gotten 9 twice. He's never gotten 10. That's not very high, though. So maybe somebody higher can beat that. Oh, so C- is absolutely crushing. All right. We're just going to stick with C- here. Not a lot of faith in Oshoma. Honestly, I understand. He doesn't fight like a guy who inspires confidence. And yet, when he doesn't have to fight the Sanyaku, he just does work. Like, this is the first... Is this... I think this is the first one where there's actually a significant gap between y'all and me. Because I have him at B tier. And B might be a little... It could be a little optimistic. But he's pretty effective at these mid tiers. He really is. Oh, did my wallpaper show through? Oh, oops. I use Control Tab and Alt Tab a lot, and, you know, sometimes shit flashes. It is what it is. Oh, God, for all time. I don't even know how you'd begin to check that. All right, Oshoma to C-. He's also a very boring person, so we'll move on. Fujinokawa, not a very boring person. This is another fairly split. Yeah, you know what? We have a chat. Let's let the chat chime in, although I'm pretty sure this is going to stay at C+. C+ or C- for Fujinokawa. Shishi, we haven't gotten to Shishi yet. Shishi's near the bottom. Oh, I fully expect Oshoma to end up back against the Sanyaku next time and get absolutely spanked again. Like, when he's Maegashira 4 or higher, he is the easiest guy to make a prediction for. Just get wrecked. Listen, you can comment anything you want. It's my choice if I want to respond to it. You can talk about anything here. I don't really care. That's fine. As long as you're not being, like, racist or sexist or something. It's all the same to me. Fujino... See, Kaji Clash, Fuji is not the worst pick, but it's... There's so many guys in that group that are just, like, equivalent. I think I went Gonoyama because he's got the highest ceiling, I think, in that group, but he could also go like 8 and 7. Anyway, Fuji's C+ is absolutely destroying this one. Didn't even need to bother. And that's fair. I just think the difficulty of the opponents he's facing made me push him to C-, but he is good enough that C+ makes sense. This is another one where it's more like, I just don't know how he's going to get to 9 wins. I could see him ending up with 6, but I don't know how he gets to 9. So that's why he's C- for me. But being positive about him generally, I think makes a lot of sense. If his elbow is actually healed, I'm probably wrong here. Or there's a much better chance that I'm wrong. The 40s don't count. If you want to find anything... So, quick lesson. If you want to go to the Sumo database and find anything in Sumo history that's relevant to the present day, obviously, the more recent it is, the better. But, and this, timelines sort of depend on what exactly you're looking at. Like, if you're looking at how Banzukes get put together, honestly, anything past the last few years is sort of irrelevant. But 1958 is the first line of demarcation, because before that they had fewer than 6 bashos a year and everything was done way, way differently. Slowly but surely, they started to normalize some things as time goes forward. But then in 2004, that's when they made Makuuchi exactly 42 guys and Juryo exactly 28. And that's just what it is. Before, they would change the number of guys in the divisions from time to time. So the most recent, or the most relevant stuff is going to be 2004 and after. Anything before that is squirrely as hell. All right, Fuji at C+. Again, seems reasonable. Who do we got next? Shodai. Okay. So, all right, if B and C+ add up to the same as C-, I think we're just going with C-. That seems like the obvious answer here. A 10% gap, yeah, I think we're just gonna leave Shodai in C-. And again, I get it. He's a lot like Oshoma in that sometimes he's gonna do well, but it always feels like a surprise. And it shouldn't, because he is better than most of the guys around him as long as he's fighting anywhere near what he's capable of. And yet we always expect him to suck. I do too. Like, I put him at C+, but I had to fight my instincts. Because I figured that instinct was wrong. I knew it was just me being like, it's Shodai. No. Think about it logically. If he's going to do badly, he could do any level of badly. But if he's going to do well, he's probably going to end up with 8 or 9 wins. Enho got to Maegashira 4 without ever getting 10 wins? Damn. Little dude doing work. I hope he gets back to Juryo so he can get his, whatever it is. It's not a license. The right to have elder stock. They should have something called an Oyakata license. It just sounds like a thing that you could attach a license to. So, Makuuchi is 42. I don't know why they chose that number exactly. Let's just start with that. 70 is a nice round number, and that's the total between Makuuchi and Juryo. For several years before they made it 42, I think it was just 40, and it bounced like from 36 to 39 to 38 to 40. Like, it was all over the place. It might have been more than 42 for a brief period, but I don't think so. I think 42 is as high as it ever got. But I couldn't tell you the reason. Like, I've looked stuff up, and I've never seen like an explicit rationale given for that. So, good night, Gorilla. Thanks for coming. I swear to God, if this, like, anti-international fan base ass sport picked 42 because they were a bunch of fans of Douglas Adams, I would flip my shit. That would be incredible. That would be incredible. So Shodai's at C-. Kinbo Slice. And that feels, I know that year after year that's more of a dated reference. I just appreciate that some people still get it. But Kinbozan, this is definitely a vote between the C's. C+ or C- for Kinbozan. Poll start. Juryo's always been smaller than Makuuchi, and I would guess it's because it's sort of a... I think it's designed to just be a proving ground. Like, if you should be in the top division, they don't want you stuck in the second division for an excessively long time. But if you don't belong in the second division, they want you booted out sooner rather than later. Again, that's just a guess based on like the simple logic of the thing. I don't have any like hard evidence to that being the case. It just seems like why you would do that. Shodai Yusho. Oh god. You know, if I had to choose between Shodai winning another Yusho for his fans and somebody who hasn't won one yet, I would definitely take someone who hasn't won one yet. Even if it wasn't Ura. Just like, if somebody's only going to win one or two, let's just get more people who do it. Yeah, Cole, that's... I don't think this rises to the level of conspiracy, but I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if it's why they've been tighter with Sanyaku placements. Because Makuuchi is the size that it is, and the Maegashira guys get paid what they paid, and that's not changing. But once they hit Komusubi, they get paid more, and if they don't have as many Komusubi and higher, then, you know, it's a little bit cheaper. And if somebody really earns their spot, like Onishki getting to Ozeki to expand things, well, you know, now you got more good wrestlers in there. All right, Kinbozan looking like a C-. Yeah, I mean, that's where I had him. And he shouldn't be. Goose had him at C+, and I'm be honest, he should be a C+. He should be a B-tier wrestler at this rank. If he's here, we should expect him to have a winning record. He's good enough for that when he fights well. He just doesn't anymore. I would feel a little bad about talking the amount of shit that I do if it turned out that his neck... Like, it seemed like his neck issues went away, but if they came back and that's why he just kind of is mediocre now, well, you know what? I wouldn't feel bad about talking shit about him. I would feel bad for him that he's in a sport that refuses to talk about stuff like that. So I think so a lot of things in sumo have gotten normalized over the last few years. Like when they had who the fuck was, I think it was Wakamoto Haru and Meisei were promoted to extra Komusubi slots with records that normally wouldn't get them there at like the end of 2022, but that was because the Banzuke was so screwed up and so super tight in its movement at the top that they didn't really have a choice, or else it was going to be all screwed up. But outside of that, you can really expect certain things to happen when, like, on the basis of certain results, you can expect certain things, and they do just enough to keep it unpredictable, but there is a lot of predictability with it, a lot more. If you go back even to like 2014 and you see some of the movements, it's like, what the hell were they thinking? I don't guess the Banzuke must have been hell back at that time. Like, it was just a dartboard toss. See, modern sports science and the JSA are not mutually exclusive, because the science part is more stable centric. Like, does the head coach want to bring in those types of ideas? And this is why I kind of feel bad that Nakamura is stuck with Kaio as like his best. I think he's got Tomokaze too, but he's got a bunch of busted up dudes, but they came in busted up. But he wants to do a lot of new type stuff. He wants to bring a lot of that science in there, and he needs somebody who can actually take advantage of it. And right now, I don't think he has those guys. Anybody who paid to win Guess the Banzuke is an idiot. So yeah, Kinbozan C-. Ooh, we got a tie. Gonoyama C and C+. Well, we gotta vote on this one. B. C plus. Is Gonoyama more likely to get 10 wins or only 7? That is the question here. Well, Nakamura is new. I can't remember what stable they were a part of. Like, when Nakamura opened up, they moved to that, and that was just like within the last couple years. Gunnar Yama. Honestly, I'm probably going to regret saying this in a public chat forum, but when I was a kid, like when I was in high school, my nickname was Goon. And like I had 2 nicknames. I had Spiffy and I had Goon. And like over the last few years, I've started to realize I'm lucky I stuck with Spiffy and not Goon, because I would have to change it. Like, I don't know when this whole Gooner thing started, but man, it's depressing to know that I can't use an old nickname anymore. Goon and Spiffy are British type nicknames? If it's in an old video, a lot of people aren't aware, and now they can be, which just Sumo Goon isn't that bad. Like, it's not alliterative, but it's got like similar sounds going on. Wow, Gonoyama C+, huh? Sumo. I think I would have gone with something other than bar and grill. That's I'll go talk to myself from another dimension someday and I'll ask what he figured out. All right. That looks like C+. I think we're all going to be right there, cuz I'm pretty sure he's going to end up with 8 or 9 wins. If he does better than that, I'm going to be surprised. If he does worse than 8, I'm going to be surprised. Yeah, the new meaning of goon or gooning or whatever is it's very recent, but it's taken over because anything that has to do with sex is like that's just gonna stick. No, that's not a pun. I'm not. Roga. Let's talk about Roga. So that's a C+ C- split because everyone knows he's gonna finish 7 and 8 or 8 and 7. So you all get the final say. Are we leaning more towards 7 or 8? Like, the way this sets up, it's normally, do you think he's more likely to get 9 or more likely to get 6? And the answer is he's not going to get either. We're voting on aesthetics. Do we want a plus or a minus when either one is going to be right? Fuck. Ivan, I'm disappointed in myself for laughing at that as much as I did. Yeah. I feel like Roga's destiny is to end up when he's no longer able to fight in this division, whatever his rank is, he's just going to finish 7 and 8 every tournament until he's out of the division. It doesn't matter if that takes 2.5 years. It's just what's going to happen. We'll see. If the low ranks are going to beat the hell out of everyone, that includes each other, which means some of them are going to go poorly too. But yeah, this thing still probably needs some less good records in there. Okay, 63%. That seems like it's not going to change too much. C- for Roga. Once again, you all and I are on the same page. We're all guessing 7 wins again, which is probably going to be right. Chiyoshima would have to go like 12-3 at Maegashira 6, because if he's actually in range, like in the Joy, he's gonna get stomped. Toki Hayate, one of the little bros. Oh, this is the clear C-. And yeah, seems about right. I know Yuria likes Toki because his name is awesome, which I've mentioned it in some spots, but if you haven't heard it, it means Time Storm, which is the best name ever since Kirishima changed his name from Kirabayama, which was like Purple Mountain Horse or something, which was amazing. Time Storm is the best. Like, I wish the best for him just on that basis. Don't be sorry, Ivan. Like, you got me. That was, like, well done. Bravo. Clap, clap. This is my own failings coming out. Yes, Time Storm. Time Storm. Clear C-. Yeah, Winds of Time is pretty good. That's more of... So, Winds of Time gives me more of, like a sort of like a meditative vibe. And I think in a lot of scenarios I would like that, but it's Sumo. So yeah, I like Storm. That's how I'm feeling it. Bone Storm? I mean, that would be the international crowd's favorite wrestler of all time. There would be so much Rule 34 shit about a sumo wrestler named Bone Storm. Like, every Rule 34 site would just get banned on devices the JSA could get access to. Just because Bone Storm would be everywhere. Anyway. And only now, this far into the stream, do I realize I forgot to put the little sumo avatar in the screen. Well, too late now. Kotoshoho, C+. That one is pretty straightforward. Understandable. He should be a lot better than he was last time. And everybody knows it. Sumo, oh god. I knew that was going to be a mistake. I knew it. I decided to share. Never, listen, if any of you ever start doing any kind of Twitch or YouTube thing, there's one rule above all else that you need to remember. Don't share. Don't fucking share. Just don't. Take what everybody else is sharing and use that. Don't share anything. I mean, VTuber is very complex. PNG tuber, which is what that is much more manageable. Like, the only reason I even have that is because Yuria knows how to do it, and so she was able to teach me. On top of, you know, doing the art. Like, comment, and, yes. Like, comment, and subscribe, but never share. My old Kachi Clash name. I mean, I don't think it's ever changed. Oh no. No, that name was the same one that I used for all my other Beef Tank, right? Beef Tank is great. And if you don't know Beef Tank, you need to learn who John Boys is. And if you know who John Boys is, but you don't know about Beef Tank, you need to go look up Breaking Madden. Because it is some of the greatest shit on the internet. Anyway, we're going to move on to Chiyoshima. Ooh. So C-. Yeah, this one's probably worth a vote. This one's probably close enough. No, we are not Q&Aing this. Chiyoshoma. C+ or C-. Not C0, C-. I played an undead tank back in WoW. I never used beef tank in WoW. Chiyo. Yeah, I spelled it right. I've gotten Chiyoshoma's name wrong before. Yeah, Beefcake, like, I mean, Eric Cartman is fun and all, but Beef Tank is way better. Clarence Beef Tank is the best. When I first found, like, fantasy sumo games, I'm like, well, let me try some of this. And everybody had a Japanese-sounding name. I'm like, I appreciate that all of you are kind of going with the theme, but that also feels way too weeb for me. So what can I do where I'm like respecting the idea but not doing this? And I'm like, Clarence Beef Tank would go to Japan with eyes full of curiosity, wanting nothing other than to experience Japanese sport and drink milk. And I could really appreciate that lifestyle. So that's why I went with Beef Tank. Oh, Toki Hayate was... I'll scroll it back up. Toki Hayate was just C-. Like, the form... The people who filled out the form were just way, way, way into C- for Toki. That's why we didn't do a poll for it. Okay, Spark. This is like a... This is one of those things where, like, I don't know if the way you worded that is what you mean. Because... what got you into Sumo Spiffy looks like what got me into the name or something. But if there's supposed to be a comma there, then the question is, what got me into Sumo? Which sounds more likely, but I don't know. So if you could clarify what you're asking, I would appreciate it. How many Henkas will Chia do? I mean, at least 3. Alright, 67%, 2-1. C- it is for Chiyomoshoma. Where is he? There he is. Alright, C- is catching up to C+ in numbers at least. Nishiki Fuji. Ooh, C+. And like, a pretty clear C+ at that. I really did almost put him in B tier. I think he's gonna pop off again. Unless he gets hurt, which is entirely possible. So, Nishiki Fuji. C+. No, this part. Honestly, I don't remember. I just started watching it around the time that Hakuho was retiring, and one of the first bashos I ever watched was when Teru and Hakuho both went 14-0 into the final day. I'm like, this is fucking awesome. And it's just a fun sport. But the thing that got me into it to the point where I have a YouTube channel is that around that time I also finally got diagnosed with ADHD. And this YouTube channel is the first project that I took on after I got real medication. And that's honest to God. Like, I have a master's degree where in creative writing, I wrote a novel, and that was a struggle for reasons I didn't understand. If I had had genuine, like, the ADHD meds that I have now while I was writing that book, I'd be a novelist. Like, that is just how it is. Small boys. Hell yeah. Alright, Nishiki Fuji is in C+. Who's next? Midori Fuji. Midori Fuji's just C+. Okay. Okay. Look, there's a lot of Midori Fuji fans. I know that. He is well loved. I mean, he's a little dude, and everybody loves little dudes, but I gotta ask y'all something. I gotta get some opinions here. Look, he has not done well recently. Ever since he dropped out of that upper echelon, like, let's just look at this 6 West, 5 and 10. Let's just forget after that. 8, 7, 7, 7, 9, 6, 9, 7, 6. It ain't been good. So I am asking some, just for, like, C plus versus C minus is not a big difference. But if you're feeling especially positive about Midori Fuji, I want to know why. Like, especially if it's something more than just, I think he'll get 8 wins. Like, I think he's going to do really well. Why? Because maybe I missed something. I got sick of being unmedicated. I think being unmedicated, whether or not that's a positive, really is very individual. Like, for me, I was able to get through life, and I really only went to get a diagnosis once I was at a point where I was like, I'm struggling to do anything. So at that point, just, you know, get the medicine, you know? But if I had, like, when I was growing up, ADHD wasn't really a thing, or if it was a thing, they only considered it a thing if you were actually bouncing off the walls and throwing shit at teachers. And if I had had an actual medication, like, not even when I was in school, but like when I was like 20, 25, I'd be the fucking president right now. Midori usually does better after he gets demoted. I mean, broadly speaking, yeah. He will gamble. You know, I sort of like the idea that he's going to be inspired to compete with Nishiki Fuji. Especially because it's not for, like, the top guy in the stable. They're not even close. But it's just like, listen, your ass was in Juryo. You're not getting ahead of me. I kind of like that idea. I don't think it's going to work out that way because I think Nishiki Fuji's still going to do well. Like, if Midori gets 9 wins, I think Nishiki Fuji's also going to get 9 wins and it won't matter. But that's a thought. Sumo Goon doesn't know anything. Sumo Goon isn't here. Also, I just saw that. How did he grow an inch in a year at... How old was he then? 27? I don't know. Maybe they let him stand on his tiptoes. In my time, no one was autistic. Yeah. I recommend... If anybody has not seen this, if you know, I don't care if you know who he is. Jim Jeffries, he's an Australian comedian. He's got a bit where he talks about his son being autistic or having his son tested for autism. And it comes back negative, but then the doctor tells him, like, you do realize you're autistic, right? And it's like, wait, what? It's brilliant. It's so good. I've made terrible mistakes today. Who's next? Abi. Oh, Abi. Okay. Okay. So 34 to 22 is a big gap, but over half the votes are for a lower than B tier. So I'm just going to do B versus C plus and see where we end up. Because I'm very curious. Spark, I knew a girl when I lived in California. I worked at a pizzeria, and she was like 19, and she's like an assistant manager. And she said when she was in high school, she spent half her time in Texas with her dad and half her time in California with her mom. In California, she went to school and got D's, and in Texas, she went to school and got A's. And she was like, it's just because, like, they made me do stuff in Texas. I don't know that I'd say Texas has a better educational system, but it worked for her. Like, you just gotta stay engaged, and it's hard. Like, I work in schools, and yeah, it's not built for that. Ichi Yamamoto is we got through him way. We're going in Banzuke order, and he's Maegashira 1. So, yeah, we're way past him. Alright, so this is mostly C+, and that's fair enough. Fair enough. I guess I'm a little curious how that would have turned out if I had put in lower options, but then that would be ignoring all the people who voted B, and that would be rude. Yeah, a lot of people believe in Abi. A lot of people believe in Abi. I believe in Abi, I just don't know if I believe in his arms. Nobody... How do I want to say this? Nobody has, to me, and granted, I've only been really into the sport for like maybe 4 years. I've never seen somebody who looked as broken as Abi, but was still able to compete. I've seen people who obviously couldn't compete and then they dropped out. I've seen people who stuck it out to the end, like Chiyo Shoma when he went 1-14. He couldn't fight. He didn't drop, but he couldn't fight. But Abi, like, but Chiyo looked like he was, like something was just wrong that could be fixed. Abi looks like, I don't know what you do at this point. The community put Ichi, let me get back to the tier list. Community put Ichi here at D tier. Only one at D tier right now. Given how these things play out, he may be the only one at D tier. Anyway, as for Abi, if Abi's not broken, this is the time where he needs to show it. Because, like... I mean, if you don't do it here... When? I don't think he's going to get a Juryo buff if he drops there. I mean, he's had surgery on his arms before. He actually had surgery on his arms, dropped to Maegashira 9, then won the damn U show. So the fact that he's not getting treatment now and just fighting through it suggests that, like, whatever they did before isn't going to work again. Tobizaru, just a straight up C+. If he's healthy, you're probably right. If he's healthy, this is almost certainly correct. Is he gonna be healthy? I don't know. He didn't look it. He looked healthier than the Basho before that. But he still looks messed up. William, like, I would say it slightly differently. You say, I think a lot of people just don't want to see it yet. I think especially people who have been around the sport a long time, we have seen so many guys who physically struggle, who, like, they obviously are having some kind of injury issue. But then they turn it around. Like, then the next basho comes and they're feeling a lot better and they go crazy and they pop off. And it's happened so often, it feels like, well, it'll probably happen this time, right? He can't do much worse than he did before. And that is a completely understandable state of mind. This is just a situation where Abi only has one style and it looks like his body can't do that style. And when that happens, like we have not seen too many wrestlers as purely one-dimensional as Abi. Like, he just does the one thing. And so he was always more vulnerable to a breakdown in the body parts he needs to support that style than most others. And that's the thing that's hard for a lot of people to realize, I think. I wasn't diagnosed until I flunked out of USNA. Yeah, because you weren't hyperactive. Same thing. For me, it was all internal. And like, there used to be ADD and then ADHD, but now it's only ever talked about as like ADHD, which includes hyperactivity. So if you're not hyperactive, well, obviously there's not a problem. So I don't know how that became a catch-all term, but hyperactivity is not like a necessary aspect of being diagnosed today. So it's probably just easier. But yeah, I remember when there was ADD and you didn't have to be hyperactive, and it was like, yeah. It is what similar Mata, what similar to Takeru Fuji? Oh, do you mean the injury? Because Takeru Fuji, he tore a biceps tendon. That's very different. Like, his arm just isn't really working very well, but it is kind of working, and it should heal. Abi, like, if it's a joint issue, which it certainly appears to be, that's a lot harder to come back from. It wasn't called... Oh. Before that hyperactivity... Well, that would explain why I never got diagnosed. Why nobody ever thought that was it. All I remember was going... Like, I was struggling with stuff I shouldn't have been struggling with, even though my grades were okay. So my mom took me to this tutoring place, and they gave me this, like, questionnaire and an interview, and then they brought my mom in, and they're like, your son has the worst attitude towards school than anyone we've ever seen, out of anyone that's ever walked in this building. Yeah, that's pretty much where that's at. When you're not engaged, everything sucks. Okay, next one. Tomokaze, C-. I mean, bless y'all hearts that you think he's got any chance at a winning record. It would be the 15-day upset of the century for this dude to end up with a winning record. 'Cause my God, he's so busted. You want to clown on Shishi before you gotta leave? Okay, well, I think he's next. Yeah, oof. I mean, this is the pick that makes me think nobody else is going in D tier. Because we can't put Tomokaze there, then who? Who could possibly end up there? So, D is generous. You know, I have him in D tier, and the thing is, he looks like he should do worse than he does. He benefits from the fact that he is unbelievably strong at slapdowns. He's so powerful. Like, you know it's coming. You know it's coming, but the smaller dudes can't stop it most of the time. They just get slammed. And he's got so many of them around him that he can pick up a bunch of wins that way, and it keeps him afloat. If he had a bunch of big chonkers around, he'd go 3-12. If Shishi gets 12 wins, it's gonna be when he stops looking like such an awkward twat. So then we won't have a reason to make fun of him. And then if you start making fun of his teeth, you're being a dick. But let's let it happen first. Speaking of Shishi, let's talk about Shishi. Yeah. you know what? Let's be nice. Let's put a vote up. I mean, we know how this one's gonna go. C+ or C-. This is... His Blanca audition? I mean, I'm sure I've seen what you're talking about. I can't think of what that's a reference to. Nobody did S tier for Shishi. Or no, did they? Yes, no, 2 people went S tier for Shishi. There's always going to be 2 people who go S tier for Shishi. That's just how it is. Like, look, 100 responses, 101 responses, 100 responses. Because somebody will come in and just put an S tier for Shishi. I'm pretty sure that's how all of these are going to go. Hey, if you can't vote against your boy, don't vote against your boy. No one's saying you should. Twerk, 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 twerk. The original Ukraine booty drop. Drop it, bounce it, drop it, bounce it. Oh god, the hand flexing is like 6th on his list of crimes. But I mean, I get it, but that's so far down the list of the things he does. He had one tournament where he looked kind of promising. I mean, so did Roga. So did a lot of guys. So, like, what's holding him back? Here's what's wild. Shishi was in Juryo for a little while. And when he really got better, you could see a marked improvement in his footwork. Which sounds wild when you watch him fight now. But his footwork got so steady. So steady. It was really good. And you could see the difference from one tournament to the next. And he started getting better, and he got back and he got into Makuuchi. And he was kind of doing that at first. But now it seems like he thinks he has to go buck wild to have a chance. And that 110 win Basho, he was going buck wild. He just got a bunch of wins out of it. But it's not a consistent plan. So, I don't know what the answer is. I know he's got fans and it sucks for them, but like, I don't know that there's a good answer here. Unless he really commits to improving his footwork and his game around it. And I don't know, maybe he doesn't have the physicality to make that fly. Shishi is like a cross-dimensional Ura. Anyway, Shishi's also very clearly C-. Y'all have spoken and spoken loudly. Shishi into C-. Who's next? Mitakeumi. Oh, that's a C-. That's not even close. And that seems fair. That seems fair. I thought I was going to put him in D tier, but I think he's got enough potential wins on the table that maybe not. Shishi looks like he's still figuring stuff out, but he shouldn't be. He's been at this level for long enough. He should have figured out what it's going to take to get better. Unless what he's figured out is that he needs to look like a chaos gremlin to have any chance. In which case, he's not going any higher than he is, because it's too easy to abuse that. Oh god, Shishi's teeth. Shishi's teeth are so bad, I feel bad even bringing it up, much less simply not making fun of him for it. Like, I hope he can get to the Sanyaku and get a better paycheck just so we can hire a dentist. Orthodontist, I guess. Mitakeumi. I mean, I don't even know. Shred? No. Compete? Yes. Yeah, there's not a lot to say about Mitakeumi. I mean, he's Yuryu's boy, but like, I think, you know, if we watch the sport, we know he's just kind of put the work in and kind of stick around where he is, and he seems like he's healed enough that he won't fall to pieces. I guess that's it. Yeah, like, I don't want to cross into personal ridicule unless it's about someone's behavior. I don't want to ridicule someone's appearance. Lightly poke fun. Like, if somebody wants to point out that Kotozakura's got 4 boobs, okay, cool. But at this point, that's been done so many times, it's like, just don't. It's not funny. It doesn't matter. But like, it's way more fun to bust on Shishi for his friggin' Tachi-ai twerk than anything else. That's behavior, right? Hey, Mitake Umi can still work at this level, and that salary is legit. Like, that is money. And he's not like Takakeisho, where he was so known for being an ozeki that he's probably better off money-wise just quitting and, you know, picking up, you know, more money as a coach. Grind it. Just grind it. The coaching stuff will come later. It'll be there. No. Teeth aren't behavior. And I'm saying I'm not making fun of him. But I'm saying, like, I know it's gonna happen. Like, there's one picture, and it's not just his teeth, like, it's just the whole thing. It's a terrible picture. And I gave him a little jab at that one time, but like, that's it. Right now I'm just simply acknowledging that it's just how it is. I'm not trying to make fun of him for it. If it sounded like that, then I apologize. All right, Ryuden. All right, douchebag minus. Some people got in the comments and were like, you need to stop talking about Ryuden. And if you're here, okay, well, I guess you're just gonna hear me sort of poke fun at how I hear you in my head. Don't talk about, like, Ryuden's personal life. We don't care. It's like, well, some people do. I'm gonna just say it. I don't want to get people to a point where they're like defending Ryuden because they think I'm just taking the piss out of him too often. So I'll hang back for that reason. But he's a piece of shit, and I reserve the right to say that at any time I want. It is what it is. Are both Yokozuna fit enough for S tier? We're not going to know until the Basho starts. There's question marks about both of them. I think S tier makes sense just because it's like, if they're healthy enough to fight, that's a pretty good pick. And if they're not, they'll drop out and we're all going to be wrong. Oh, like, I don't want to get too far into the Ryuden thing because that's not a story that I want to, like, spend a lot of time on. I've done it enough. I don't get on him for cheating because a lot of guys do that. I'd be on so many dudes for that, and that's not even worth the time, regardless of my feelings on it. No, he cheated on his fiance, got his mistress pregnant, and then pressured her into an abortion. And that's a level of douchebag that I can't overlook. Like, there's other levels of douchebag that other people think are more important, and you know what? That's fine. But that's my line. That's where I'm like, no, you can go fuck yourself permanently. Thanks for coming, Spark. Glad you could hang out for this long. Yeah, status like beating the dead horse. Like, I say it to the extent that I have fun saying it. Not to try and, like, permanently push anyone against him, because that can backfire, like I said. But if I can find new and fun ways to just, you know, talk shit about him, that's enjoyable for me. All right. Yeah, that is significantly worse. All right, let's stop talking about this asshole. Assoryu. I'd much rather talk about Assoryu. He's so much fun. This looks Very C plus. Okay, C plus. I will. That, I mean, I have C minus, and we're both like, Community and I are probably going to be both right, because he's probably going to finish at 7 or 8 wins. But he's had a lot of 6 and 9s in the division, a lot. So C plus does feel a little optimistic, but he's so much fun. He's so enjoyable to watch. When he wins, it's such a good show most of the time. Like, I understand just voting him up because it's like he's great. The bicep flex is S tier? Oh, I don't think I remember that. Oh no, I do remember that. Not in the ring. It was, yeah, I do remember that. That was pretty great. I mean, I don't know that Maegashira 15 is his ceiling, but low Maegashira does seem to be his ceiling. Yeah. It's not great. Like, he did go 10 and 5 once. He can put it together against the right opposition, and when everything's flowing. He started last time 5 and 2. And he barely hung on for a winning record, and it wasn't a surprise that he barely hung on for a winning record. Like, he's got to have weak opposition at the bottom with him so he can pick on him and then ride that to the end. And like, that's definitely not the case this time. He is very lucky he doesn't have to fight Asanoyama or Asaha Koryu. That is such a blessing for him. But with that being said, a technical adjustment, the technical adjustment he needs is to gain 10 kilos. There is a point in this sport where too small is too small. Like, you are just not big enough to get it done. Like, the smaller you are, the more you have to be mobility based. And he doesn't want to be mobility based because he's so fucking strong. He's so strong. He wants to use that, and he should. But then it's too easy to get knocked around. Like, I think he's just got a bad combination of size and power. All right, but now let's get into like definitely the most split one. This is a friggin' pride rainbow of choices. Like, this is a lot. Like, we got double-digit votes at 5 different levels. 12 people said A+ and 11 people said C-. That is a crazy split. That is an insane split. But we can't do 5 options, so we're gonna do 3. We're gonna do A-, B, oops, and C+. So 9 to 11 wins, 8 to 10 wins, or 7 to 9 wins. Those are the options. I had him at A+. I had him at 10 to 12, but that might be optimistic. I don't know. Famine, I can't put them all up. Like, YouTube limits the polls to 4 options, and if I wanted to put a 4th one, I would have to choose between A+ or C-, and that would kind of skew the results. So I'm just going to leave them both out. That's why I only went with 3. Yeah, Fujinokawa. What's great is Asakoryu and Fujinokawa could lift each other out. They could just baby carry each other match after match. That would be phenomenal. The first time I did this, I had like multiple polls for certain guys, and it was just a lot. So I'm trying to minimize poll time, so that way I can maximize how much we actually just talk. Asanoyama, yeah, so Asanoyama is fully dependent on not re-injuring himself. I think he is getting a sense of what he needs to do from his time in Juryo, because he lost his first 2 matches in Juryo in November, and then he went 12-1. So like, he may start out a little bit slowly. I gotta double check who he should be fighting first. That might change a lot of things. But he might look rough early, but the level of competition is so low compared to what he's capable of that even if he starts out like 2-2, I think that's gonna warm him up enough that he starts popping off. Oh, Asanoyama is definitely not as healthy as Waka. Like, like when Waka was coming back, even when he was sort of doing okay and he was clearly not fighting to his full potential, his knee looked steady. Like, it didn't look like his knee was a singular breaking point in his style. Asanoyama has had fights where his knee is just like obviously the problem. Now he was gone for about the same amount of time, so I have no idea if it was like who did the operation, like they had different types of rehab. But my guess is that it's just Asanoyama's body is more beat up. It just looks worse for him. But it doesn't look worse enough that he can't compete. I expect him to take... Maybe he can do it in 2 tournaments, but I'd expect 3 tournaments and then he's back in the joy. I know he's like, I want to be Ozeki by the end of the year. You're not going to be fucking Ozeki by the end of the year, dude. That's not happening. Maybe he said Sanyaku. That's maybe more plausible. I thought he said Ozeki, though. Ooh, B and A-, like, very close. Well, no, I think... Looks like B is... I'll give it a little bit. If you're thinking more A-, get your votes in now. Ooh, he said his knee didn't feel like it was his own. I didn't hear that one. But that would explain a lot. Yelan, thank you. I'm glad it sounds good. Glad it's working. Cruise. He might cruise. I'm thinking more like 10 or 11 wins this time. I went A+ because I think there's an outside chance at 12. But I'm thinking 10 or 11. All right, that's definitely B tier. Confident in a winning record, that seems very reasonable. That's not him. That's him. Okay, this one, Oshoumi, just a straight up C-. Honestly, I hope the best for him. He is a pretty good fighter. He's good at this stuff. He knows what he's doing. I think he can handle himself if his body holds up, but oh, lordy. That dude was mummified in November. He had so much tape on that arm. God, that arm was, oh. Like, if you don't really watch a lot of Juryo, then it might have just seemed like, oh, I guess his arm is a little messed up. The stuff he went through while he was in Juryo with that arm was a problem so many times. for a guy who hasn't been in the salaried ranks for that long, it was a problem so much that, like, even with the good finish he had last time, I have no faith in him being healthy enough to compete, to really compete. I almost want to be wrong. Like, only because I'm doing a tier list do I want to be right, but I would just on an enjoyment of the sport level, I'd like to be wrong and see him do well. But more, I want to see him just be healthy. Yeah, Hank, that's basically where it's at. If he could fight Tamashoho and Tochi Taikai and not Asanoyama and Asahakuryu, it would be a much different story. But those guys are probably going to brutalize him if he's anything less than 100%. I mean, Asanoyama is definitely the Kachi Clash pick. Anyone who doesn't is not trying to win. Because if he doesn't end up with the top score, it's going to be a miracle. All right. Now, I was really curious how this was going to turn out, because Asahakuryu is, like, I said in the tier list video, the hype on him is kind of muted, because he won a Makushita Yusho, then he won the Juryo Yusho, and then he started out kind of meh. Even though he won 7 matches in a row, it was like everybody forgot about him. So, this is C+. He's split on C- and B going the other way. So, that's pretty clearly C+. Every vote we've had that looks like this has just gone to the one with the most votes already. So, he's C+. And I had him A-, because he just wins. I don't know what took him so long to figure it out, but at this point, dude just wins. It ain't always pretty. He makes mistakes, but he fucking wins. Yeah, Patty, like, I guess it depends on... So there's two different things with Kachi Clash, right? They have, like, the long-term thing, the Banzuke for high scores over the course of a year. And if you want to have, like, a high rank, like, if that matters to you, then you want to go with Asanoyama, because you don't want to take a risk that you're giving up points for no reason. If you want to try and win, and you think that might be your ace in the hole, if you can find somebody who will win more than him, yes, then just winning for this tournament, you might be right. But it's a risky strategy. Like, there are places where you can find a different pick that's probably, like, the mid-tier. Like, I have Gonoyama. I'm not that confident in him. That feels like the place where you want to get the pick that'll make the difference. Oh, yeah, like... Honestly, Hank, I kind of thought that as we do more of these, that people would start voting a little bit less, just in the middle. Like, this would stop happening. It's happening more. It's happening even more now, which could actually be brilliant, because so many guys end up with those middling records that this just might be the way to beat me, and some charity will get the money. And congratulations, community, you've done good for the world. We'll see. All right, Hatsuyama, last guy. And you know what? Since he's the last guy, let's just put up a vote. I think this one's pretty clearly C-, but let's just do a vote for funsies. You know what? Let's just do all 3 choices that have some kind of... What's the word I'm looking for? Representation. There we go. I could see Asahakuryu as actually being the best alternative to Asanoyama. Like, if Asanoyama wasn't here, I would expect Asahakuryu to do the best out of everybody else. It would be a much chancier choice, but he would seem like the most likely option. Maybe Nishiki Fuji. I think I'd still give it to Asahikuru. I think Nishiki Fuji is a more steady 8 to 9 wins, and Asahikuru has a higher ceiling, but he could screw it up. But Asanoyama is there, and it's just like, sometimes there's just a gimme pick. Your voice was exclusively body type based. What did you pick? Why does his okay, I've never seen a comment like that before. I gotta know, what about his body type made you make what pick? Seems like more people should have winning tournaments than we're predicting. I mean, when there's two solid Yokozuna and a very good incoming Ozeki, it's hard to expect anybody else to win the tournament. I went for D because he seems too skinny. Interesting. Because that kind of goes along with what I was saying on the tier list about he lost weight and then he started doing better when he gained the weight back. So, honestly, I think you're onto something. I just think he's gotten bigger to a point where that skinniness is less of an issue now. Jesus. Maybe we'll do like a special tier list at some point where all the letters mean something else and we just gotta vote on who goes where. Although I know I'm gonna make A mean asshole, and then it's all gonna fall apart there. Yeah, so like Juryo, man, he's been so good the last 3 tournaments in Juryo. Like, shockingly good, given what he was doing before that. And I'll bring this up because I was so surprised by it. Yeah, like, he was 140 kilos, and then he just, the first year he was there, he just dropped 6 kilos. And then he slowly went back up, and mid-2025, he was back up to his, like, a little past his original weight. And then after that, he started smashing. Actually, I didn't look up. Hang on. Sumo. I didn't check what he weighed in for this tournament. Oh, he weighed in at 141 for this one. So he probably does need to try and put on a little more weight, and he didn't. So I went C-. That C- and D are probably both going to score. S tier for best poker face and S tier for best leaf on the top knot. Perfect leaf, as our favorite pirate likes to say. Does Shishi have merch? If you mean like Sumo Kitten merch, no. Shishi is not a priority for merch. We're actually gonna do Hoshoryu, who is going to be Hoshomyu. That should be the next one. And Yuria, because Yuria is a big Mitakeyumi fan, we also want to do Miyakeyumi. But that's in the pipeline. That's now that she can draw well again. Stuff will come. The new stuff will come. Yeah, if you're talking about just merch in general, I have no idea like who has what available. I don't even know how merch works in Sumo generally. Anyway, that looks like a vote. That looks like, whoa, C- barely won. But when it did, Tatsuyama to C-. So, yep, that was, I actually didn't notice if it was a tie or if it was like a 1 vote difference, but in a tie situation, we're just going to go with the form, which was C-. So, that's the tier list for the community for January 2026. We've got Hoshoryu and Onosato at S tier, Onishki, A+, 10 to 12 wins. Nobody from 9 to 11 wins, nobody at A-. Our B tiers, our calling a winning record group, Kotozakura, Kirishima, Yoshino Fuji, Daisho, and Asanoyama. Each Yamamoto is in D tier, and everybody else is fallen somewhere in the middle. So, thank you to everybody who filled out the form, all 106 of you. I appreciate your time. Thank you to everybody who has been in chat, either now or earlier in the stream. I appreciate you too. That's a community tier list. I'm gonna see if I can go add this to the Imager post. It may not let me, in which case, oh well. But thanks for coming. My voice is just starting to fall apart, so I'm gonna call it a day. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday, everybody. I will see you the next time. Status, that is not the group of adjectives I want. Oh God, what have I done?